So today I'm going to talk you through how I would use my teacher training planner when I first went into my school placement. So I'm going to be using today the 8-week Red Pop trainee planner. I'm going to show you the most important page for when you first go into school. So this page is called your placement planner. This is the page that I would have open with my teacher that's in the classroom with me, so that we can plan out exactly what's happening over the placement that I'm in that classroom. So I'd be planning out what's happening over the half term. I'd be planning out what lessons I'm going to be teaching. So depending on the teacher that's with you, they might have time to go through all of the 8 weeks and tell you exactly what's happening, whereas some teachers might give you their medium-term plan and you might have to write out what's happening here, and then you'd have a discussion about what you were going to be teaching. So what usually happens is you need to meet a certain percentage of teaching in your teacher placement. So depending on what experience you have, what number placement is, what year in uni you are. But most placements, no matter how much experience you've got, most of them start with at least a week where you do lots of observations, where you do lots of group work, some guided group work. You're getting to know your placement, you're getting to know the class that you're in. So this is where this is really handy, because it allows you to see how that progression is going to happen with your teaching through the whole placement. So what I've done with my placement planner is I've used my mini highlighters to colour code the lessons that are happening in the classroom. So I've used the purple to highlight lessons that I'm going to be teaching, the bluey colour to highlight lessons that the teacher in the classroom is teaching, and then I've used a yellow just to highlight where my planning sessions are going to be. So you can see as I'm in week 1, I've got some planning sessions, but all of the lessons in week 1 are being taught by the teacher. And then as I move down, I'm able then to highlight, like here, I'm going to be teaching maths all week. And then as I move into here, I'm still teaching maths all week, but then I'm also going to be doing some of the afternoon sessions as well. So you'll be able to see as you go through the progression of your teaching, and that's really handy. And it's really handy to see then where you're going to be teaching when you're planning out your daily lessons. You can look and see, right, what do I need to plan out? So that's the first thing I would do with my teacher in my classroom with me. I would fill all of this in and know myself exactly what I was teaching when. And this is really useful also when your link tutor comes in, university tutor comes in, an outside agency comes in, or you've got a different mentor, and you can show them what percentage of the lessons you've been teaching, how your teaching's progressed throughout the weeks. So once you've done your placement planner, then you can use something like the placement planning page just before it. So the placement planner is before this page, to plan out some ideas for what you're going to be teaching in that bit. So I'm going to do a quick fill-in of this so I can show you what it might look like. So once I've done my ideas plan, I can think about a really organised to-do list for my lessons, what I need to get sorted. I might colour code these as well according to the lessons that I'm going to be teaching. And then once I've done that, I would start numbering as I'm planning in more detail the lessons that I'm going to be teaching. So we can see that in week 2 on the Monday I'm going to be teaching just maths. So I've labelled that number 1, and I'm going to go to a daily planning session. So it's going to be the first lesson in week 1. So I'm just going to put a number 1 here. So that allows me then to really to be able to find that lesson really quickly when I'm looking in my planner. So I know that's number 1, and that's where I'm going to plan lesson number 1. You will probably, especially if you're doing a university route for your teacher training, you will probably have to do quite a lengthy session plan, an electronic session plan, or one that you hand in that's on University Performer. So this planner allows you to get all those really rough draft ideas down, so then when you come to type it up, it's much easier, you're not thinking on the go then. So you would fill this bit in. I would use any other sessions that I'm not teaching to make observational notes. So I would have this in a different colour. This is the lesson I'm teaching. And then it might be I'm going to be observing English that day. I'm observing children at break time, so I'm going to do some observation notes there. I've got a lesson I'm going to look at in another class. I'm going to do some observation notes there, and I'd do all those in a different colour. And then at the bottom, this is really important, this reflection and next steps. It's so important that you are showing your NQT mentor, your trainee mentor, your classroom teacher that you are reflecting on your practice, because that's part of the teacher standards. So I'm going to do an example of this and then I can show you what I mean. Okay, so you can see that I've done my draft of what my lesson's going to look like in maths, because that's what I'm going to be teaching. And then the rest of the day, I've just put some headers to allow me to write some observational notes for the rest of the day. And I'm going to do those in a different colour. So once I've done that I've done that lesson, I've got some feedback from my teacher, whoever's observing me, and then I can use that to reflect on my lesson and think about the next steps in my teaching.